I am a first generation Dominican who grew up in Washington Heights, was born in Harlem,
Mm.
grew up in Washington Heights, lived in the Bronx, and now lives in Queens. So
Damn, you could run
You've
for
been
mayor. You've been everywhere.
except for Brooklyn and Staten Island.
Staten Island. Those are the two that I'm missing. But who knows? Maybe I have a future in those two boroughs. No, I started out in media when I went to school. My entire family was working in the law field, so I went into that direction. Started making money as a young kid, became a paralegal. Stayed on that lane, and then wasn't until years later I was like, "What am I doing?" I don't love what I do, and it is bothering me inside. So let me find a way to let that out. And my brother and I tell the story all the time. Me and my brother and my friend Paul, we were just at work talking about sports stuff in general, and they're like, "Let's do a podcast. Let's do a podcast." I was like, "Let's do it," and I was the only one that actually like put the effort
Put the
in.
work.
Yeah, and they were on it. My brother still does his thing on it, but it's been a long road. And then I went back to school. I'm currently doing that in media now. So
nice, congrats.
Thank you.
I want to go. You doing, because to me, when I hear those stories, I get a hard on for that. Like where you are following one path,
yes,
because of family and outside noise and financial stability,
and what you think is what you have to do,
and then all of a sudden
passion.
The passion is inside, and you are lying to yourself, and you're unhappy. And a lot of times people will die with that because they were scared to not make that move and give themselves that chance. And here you are, Rick, talking to yourself is like, I'm not happy here. I want to know, what were the points of you realizing and coming to that decision to be like, you know what, I'm truly not happy here. And then what step did you take to get out of that situation, to give yourself that chance?
Well, I've worked in the nonprofit sector for a long time. I think 5 years. This is because I worked for a private law firm, then I went to the nonprofit sector, and in the nonprofit sector, I was getting something out of the job. Financially, it wasn't the greatest job to have. But I was working with kids, so I knew I had a passion to work with kids. And then I got offered this job to work for this, this city agency, which is a prosecutor's office.
Okay.
I took that, so I chased the money and the means and all that.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I'm not happy being here. First of all, most of the people that get prosecuted or have cases are people that look like me.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's because they never had an opportunity. They were born and raised in the wrong neighborhoods. And then we just started podcasting, and then like the first 10 episodes, we were just trying to find our footing. And Paul was having a conversation with me. He used to be a co-host on the show, and he's telling me we should talk about life itself, experiences, culture. We should do more than just sports, because it was just sports in the beginning.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna highlight all the creators from Washington Heights, because that's where I'm from. I'm gonna tell their stories first, and I'm gonna have fun doing it. So just one day after the first episode, we recorded it on an iPhone, no mics, no nothing. It sounds terrible.
No, but it's great
But
because
you
you're doing
did it. Yeah.
And I just kept doing it, and then I got to a point where I was booking people that I never thought I would be in the same room with. Like Jesse Terrero, Manny Perez, guys like that. I looked up to those guys as a young. And I was like, no, this is it. Then my son was born last year in June, and it's just COVID was going on. My wife was pregnant. I was like, this is the perfect time for me to go back to school, finish my degree. I have the experience. I just need to learn some other tools, namely video, which is a whole nother animal. finish that, and then switch my career because I love what I do.
Yep.
I love creating content. I love coming up with ideas. I love, and now we're gonna expand. We have 2 segments on the show that are gonna be podcasts by the end of this year already.
Oh, that's great.
So Jayla's gonna have her own podcast in July,
Great.
because we're doing a segment for her, and then Craig's my other co-host. He's gonna have his
Mm,
own, so it's gonna branch out.
That's
That's
dope.
awesome, man.
That's
Kudos to you and to everybody on the team, and for
for you believing in yourself enough to take that, risk, and you have a son coming along, like that's a big risk, and then going to school, but you believed in yourself and you knew what was right for you.
Small victories, small victories. You guys are in the same game I'm in.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
guys got almost around the same amount of episodes. I think
Mhm.
you're close to 100.
Yeah.
Small victories push you to keep going. I know,
Yeah.
Yep.
Rick, you do music as well. Um, when you something like, for instance, Cryptic, he started a podcast,
Mhm.
and I had a long conversation with him. And he's like, I went to see a taping at the Monkey Room, and I was like, yo, I could do the same thing. And he
Mhm.
gave me like some compliments and stuff like that. Things like that make me feel good and let
Yeah.
me know that I'm doing the right thing.
Right.
Mhm.
So small victories, I enjoy those. I have little goals, and every time I meet a goal, I
Mhm.
just keep pushing.
Yeah.
No one's gonna
That's right.
believe in you but
But
yourself. You gotta
you.
believe in
Yeah.
yourself first
Yeah.
before
Mhm.
anybody.
Yep.
Because if you're podcasting, you're like, yeah, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Like,
Like when I was just producer when we started this one, and I eventually became co-host with him. But my
Yeah, but I
intent
kept on pushing her though.
he kept
Shit.
pushing me, but I mean the first year it was because I was pregnant, obviously, and I was like, okay, I had to, I couldn't be involved in everything. But then I was just like, COVID happened. We're both in the house. I can be more involved. I don't have to find a sitter for our child. And, I was a little iffy about it, even though I'm an actress and stuff, but I was just like, I don't know if I'm great at hosting. And, I just challenged myself and I said, you know what, let me do it.
Yeah, but
you
I
just
yeah.
gotta be yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
as long as you love what you're doing, man, everything will fall in place and everything will come. At the
Hmm.
end of the day, you know, being in the field that we're in, you gotta love it because at the end of the day, you're not doing this for money. Money will come
Mhm.
down the road, but like you said, count these small victories,
Mhm.
and not doing it for anybody else, doing it for yourself and
Exactly.
what you get out of it, and just I when we started this, when I came up with the idea first, and I brought her in, and then we started working, building up together. It just came out of a place of like, being an actor as well, like getting used to rejection, but like just not understanding the silent no's where like they don't get back to you. Of it's like yes, it's like it's just tell me no, you're not gonna break my heart. So like, and not seeing a need of more of people of color and being represented not only in the bad side but the good side too. Like I know crackheads who are Latino, but I also know successful people that are Latino.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
like I shouldn't be only doing that. So I created my own path as well in the arts of doing one man shows and stuff like that, and she did too. Now when the podcast came along for us, it was like I would reach out to be a guest and to other podcasts that I liked, and I wouldn't hear a lot of
Response.
responses,
Yeah.
and that's when I said I create a lot of paths my way. This is going to be another one. And I said, I'm going to make my own podcast and I'm going to highlight the people that have these stories that they
Mhm.
want to share and
Hmm.
they have a voice already, but let me highlight it. And you don't have to be an artist. You could be a father. That's
Mhm.
more than enough to share your story to be on the podcast. And it was a simple thing. And then we just kept on plugging along,
Yeah.
very similar to you.
Mhm.
Were you always um, into media, into
Yeah, he
do
said.
no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. But he did say, but if he did it when he was young, we didn't touch on that. Was that
Yeah, I wanted to
something
go back to that.
when you was young? Like, was it always
Yeah,
around you
how did
subconsciously?
because everyone was a
It's
lawyer, so where did that come about?
uh first of all, I thought I was a rapper when I was a teenager
Nice,
first.
nice.
Not a teenager.
But I would go to the studio, and then when I went to college, I went to City College.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
like the first semester, I was in the rotunda, and I kept hearing the radio station. And I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, there's a radio station in the school."
Mhm.
So I went to the radio station, and like a month later, I was the VP of the station.
Nice.
because I met everybody. I learned programming. I learned all the DJs. I was the program director for a little while. Then something happened with the president. That guy had stepped down, and then they had
Mm,
an election, and they gave it to me.
Nice.
Um, and I was just like, man, this is where I need to be.
mm.
You know,
Nice.
my voice might not be for rapping, but it may be for something
Yeah,
else.
right. Nice. How does your family, when you decide to make that
Yeah.
decision, like, hey,
How
I'm gonna be
supportive
a
were they?
rapper. I'm not gonna be a lawyer. No, no, no.
Well, my
Yeah,
mom,
look at podcast, need podcast.
yeah, my mom, she's always been like when I was making music, she was always supportive.
Nice.
Um, but she would tell me, listen, just look at the field. Is there a lot of Latinos rapping at this point in time?
Mm,
And at that time, I was no, but I can write songs. I knew that.
yeah.
Mm.
So I just started mentoring and managing acts, you know.
Oh, okay.
And me and Craze, we would develop these guys that were just starting out. So I had talent for that. And then podcasting, I told my wife, this was like 4 years ago, I think. May 2018. My math is off. 3 years.
Mm,
Okay.
So I tell her, we're gonna start a podcast. She's like, oh, it was great. At first, it was a hobby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's like, oh, that's great. That's good. Then she saw me doing it consistently,
mhm,
and my wife has always congratulated me on the milestones, always supported me. Um, when we were shooting out of the monkey room, I was like, man, I need to get merch. My wife went and got the merch done for all of
mm,
us. Didn't
Nice.
like it was. She's played her role. I mean, my
Yeah.
wife works in ad tech and in
Okay.
marketing, and
mm,
Oh,
so she's in that industry. Um, and my father-in-law, he's like an OG in marketing.
mm,
nice.
He used to run a studio. So anytime I do something, I don't bring it up to him, but he'll see it and then he'll come and he'll tell me something. And
yeah.
those are the small victories.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
So those things, and then like I've been asked to be on shows
Mm-hmm.
on podcasts before. That is great. But you're gonna get a bunch of no's before you get that first yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not working for those no's, I'm just working for that yes.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's what keeps me going. I don't think I answered your question. I'm sorry. So
No, no, you
podcasting,
did. You
Yeah.
did.
The how supportive was your family,
Yeah,
and you
you
just
did.
mentioned your mom and your wife.
super supportive. So
Mm-hmm.
my mom probably watches every show that we do.
Mm.
Nice.
During quarantine, my family would like gather around the TV
Oh,
on Tuesdays and watch the show,
That's
especially if it
great.
was a guest that they like.
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, I've had some guests where nobody tunes in,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That
and that's
happens.
okay. I have a
Yeah.
good time. I have a great conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and I take that conversation for what it is. And I'm gonna tell
Exactly.
you what episode that was. So I had Noel Velos on the show. Um, he has this luxury handbag company called
Mm.
Okay.
Hemmenkoff.
Okay.
His story is tremendous. That dude is now like one of the top ham. He makes the handbags.
Oh
Like he's
wow.
got models rocking the handbag.
Nice.
He's gonna be in one of the biggest stores in Japan
Nice.
because his handbag is made out of vegan leather.
Mm,
Mm.
And he goes through the story of how his father was a tailor
mm.
and he taught him how to sew. And he goes through his whole story. Not a lot of people heard that episode, but that guy,
Yeah.
Look where how far he's come.
look where he is.
Yep.
Mm.
How has what changed for you in fatherhood? What did that bring to you now, either in your podcasting world and also in your
Personally.
personal life too? Like I could imagine, here you are, listen to the voices of like you should go one route and then you change it. So I could imagine that speaks volumes to you even more now that you want to pass on that to your son to be like, yeah, chase your dreams, chase your passion, because I'm doing it. So I'm just not speaking it, I'm doing it, and he's watching you. So how has that? What did fatherhood bring to you now into your life?
Well, um, I realized there's more to life than what you think. Uh, I don't know. He changed me completely. My son, I made him the executive producer of the podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
He was
he
the one
might.
that responded to our emails, right?
um, just I can't even explain it. I don't think you guys are parents.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
explain.
Mm.
The first thing that comes to mind is, okay, I'm doing this. Is this gonna help or hinder my son? My son
Mhm.
Mm.
had became first priority over everything.
Mhm.
But he's also been my inspiration.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So when he's 15, 20 years old, I want to be able to have like a career. Like I did this, but then I switched lanes midway, and this is what I love doing. And I want you to do what you love doing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, you just got to find a way to make a living out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're building your legacy and showing him that. So like, all these
And it
episodes,
shows for itself.
yeah, even
Yeah.
you have the words and the actions behind it.
Mhm.
So when you have that conversation, it's just not falling on deaf ears. It's like, well, no, I actually see you doing the grind. And I see it on TV, and
Yeah.
and I also hear it in your voice how passionate you are when you spoke about it. So I think that's amazing how you're gonna pass that on to him, and I think that's very beneficial for anybody. You don't even have to be in the arts. Just show them, like what you love to do. Like tell them, share with them your
Mhm.
story and you know a piece of you of who you are. Even though they're seeing it, and they can see through the bullshit too if you're lying to yourself. But show them like this is who I am, because
Yeah.
that they're gonna learn a lot from that, and you're gonna learn from them too.
And
So
action speaks louder than words
Hmm.
anyway. So.
yeah, they do. And growing
Mhm.
up, when I was told you got to be a lawyer or a doctor or something like
Mhm.
that, not, you can be an actor or you
Hmm.
can be a designer or you can be
Podcaster.
Podcaster
podcaster,
now.
you can write movie
Hmm.
scripts, you can
Have your own business.
Right.
have your own
It was
business.
always a title of something, but
Yeah.
how about
It
you having
was
your own
it's
business?
funny because they tell you be a doctor, be a lawyer,
Yeah.
Hmm.
or own a bodega, and like
Yeah.
there's a huge drop
Well, that's
off.
a
Yeah.
business owner
Yeah.
there.
You know, it's also what they knew because when
Yeah.
my
Of
grandfather came
course.
Yep.
over, he used to sell. He had a cake route.
Yeah.
He would go to bodegas and sell cakes. That's
Oh,
how he made a
okay.
living. And then he bought the route, and that's all my family members knew.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you got to be a lawyer, a doctor, or own a bodega
Yeah.
because that's success to them.
Yeah.
Hey.
And credit to them, and that is a form of level of success. I think one thing that I will pass on down to my child, you know, like my brother knew how passionate I was, right? But he was more from the business side. Is like, I get it, right? You're gonna
Mhm.
need a 9 to 5 job. You're gonna have to support those things, right? And then he was like, you got to do both. You got to learn how to do both. He was supportive in one side more than the other, but he was supportive. So then for me, being around other actors, I think what I will pass down to anyone and to my child is like, you gotta love what you do, but also
Mhm.
you gotta work hard for it, and you gotta be realistic that listen, this you might have to do this 9 to 5 job to support you, and you got to do your passion. So the same
Mhm.
way you put your hours
Oh,
into
how
this
it's gonna
job,
be.
you got to put the hours into your passion. What people and the passion is going to pay off, not sometimes with money, but
Mhm.
within yourself, and it's going to pay off with that feeling that you're not going to get from that job. Because a lot of people, I think, especially in this generation, they feel like a lot of things are owed to them, and that's the wrong
No, you gotta
mentality. You got
work
to work
for it.
hard for
You
it.
got to work. You got to work harder for.
Yeah,
Harder.
right. Because we're doing, you included. We're doing two careers. Where what I'm
Yeah.
saying, like,
It's
and
not
we
like, oh,
love,
we go home and
yeah,
then that's it.
we love one more,
Yeah.
extremely more.
And we have
But we
less
gotta
hours.
work, yeah, let's not. But we gotta work double time for that one that we really love, and
Exactly.
and be realistic. We gotta pay the bills and survive.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
if anything, like our parents and what they did to here, yeah, it's a phenomenal story, but we're doing something even more dangerous and more risky and
Mhm.
more harder in a sense because we're juggling two things because we just
Mhm.
don't go home and like, all right, now
That's it.
tomorrow
And
I
we're
repeat the
trying to
same
break
thing.
a barrier
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
because they came here and they were able to start a life. Now I
Yes.
feel like it's
Not to take
my
that away from them either.
responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I feel like now is my responsibility. Well, they brought me here. My
Yeah.
last name is here. Now it's my responsibility to put my last name somewhere else, even
Mm-hmm.
higher. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to tell my son, you got to do better than me. Obviously, you
Right.
got to be better than me, but
Right.
Yeah. Do
take
better for
what we're
you.
going to give you, me and your mom, and put that even higher.
Yeah.
Because most of these families have been in this country for so long. That's the reason where they're in that position.
Yeah.
Not to say they didn't work hard for it, but
Mm-hmm.
they had something to work with
Mm-hmm.
already.
Definitely.
Us, I think you guys froze on me.
No, we hear
We
you. Hold
we
on.
hear
Yeah, they
you, but
froze
you
on me.
froze on us.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Oh,
good.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
good.
And
We're
we'll
good.
There we
edit
go.
this. We'll edit this
Yeah.
together once.
We'll stop the freeze. And it's our
But
internet too.
I feel like that's my responsibility to put myself in a different position than what my family was in, and then my son, when it's his turn, he's his turn to do
Yeah.
that and put it forward.
What
What
would you? I'm sorry. I was.
what
That's just a great question that popped in.
Go ahead,
Uh,
and I have mine.
what
It might
what
be the same one.
what would you explain success to your son?
Mm.
Because here's we are trying to break barriers, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the biggest barriers I had to break was the expectations of my family of what they know and see based on what I do. For example, oh, you're gonna
Mm.
be an actor. You're gonna be acting with the top people. You're gonna make this money, or you're
Yeah.
doing this. Like,
You gotta
so it's
be on
like
this
that.
show.
Yeah, it was like, no, that's one form of it. If I'm blessed to get it, but how about me just performing off Broadway? That's success to me. How
Mhm,
about just writing a play?
Mm-hmm.
That's
mhm.
success to me. So, like, even for me, I had to break these things. Would I want that eventually? Yeah, anyone would, right? But what I'm doing now is I'm content and it's fulfilling. And of course, I want more, but I had to break down my version of what is success. And that's something that I thought about, like what I would say to my daughter, you know, so she doesn't
She
think that
doesn't base
doesn't, yeah,
success on what the world says,
right.
but
Because
what she
Exactly.
feels is
because there was
success.
times in my career, I'm like, I haven't. This person only did it for X amount,
Mm-hmm.
and it's short, and he already got on, and here I am. Yeah, I did a legitimate amount of stuff, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not on that level. Am I failing? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
had to rewrap my brain. I'm like, hell
Yeah,
no, I'm
I have to
successful.
too. Yeah.
So, what would be success to you that you tell your son, and even to yourself? You know,
It's gonna sound cheesy, but happiness is one.
boo. No, I'm kidding. No, you're right.
Happiness. Oh my God.
Right.
And I feel I 100% agree with you. Success is not measured by how much money you've made. Success to me is if you yourself have met all your goals. So whatever you set out to do, if you did that, then you should be successful. And
Yeah.
you're
Mm-hmm.
always usually when you're a person who challenges themselves and you meet your goals, that makes you happy. Like I wanted
Yeah.
to get to 100 episodes,
Yeah.
and when
Mm-hmm.
I got to 100 episodes, I couldn't go out and scream it off the mountaintop, but I was like, yo, I did it. Because not a lot of podcasts get to that number.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, success to me right now is I got a loving wife, I got a good job, I
Hey.
know what my passion is, I know where my future goes, and I have my son.
Hmm.
So at this point in life, I feel successful. Do I have other challenges and other goals that I want to meet? Yes. So that's exactly how I'm gonna define it to him. Um, and I agree with you. Certain people say, "Oh, you want to be an actor? How many movies are you in?"
Hmm.
How
That
many
doesn't
Law and
mean
Order episodes did you do if you were a New York
exactly.
actor?
Yep.
Exactly. What about if you start your own show, or you wrote your own show, or you
Exactly.
um, you don't have to be in front of the camera to be
Mm-hmm.
successful. You can be behind the camera. I
Mm-hmm.
When I started the podcast, I didn't want to be the host.
Mm.
Mm.
I did not want to be the host at
Why?
all. I wanted to produce it and be behind it because I wasn't when we first started out, I wasn't funny or comfortable being like my brother. His personality is out of this world. Like he was on the show for a while, and I was like, maybe this works. Plus, my brother he's a handsome guy.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's an attractive dude, so I was like, this is the guy to lead the show, right? Um, but
That's your marketing and all
No,
that
that's
stuff
your marketing
kicking
and
in.
producing
that's the guy right there.
hat.
But I knew I could. Uh, I knew I could do more behind the scenes than in front of the camera. And I didn't want to be, because when you're the host, even it happens now. I have Justin, he's the producer. And when we're doing our broadcast, I'm also producing at the same time. He had to tell me the other day, like, Rick, let me do it.
Yeah.
I got it. Don't worry. Because he knows exactly how I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I wanted to be behind the camera, but then they were like, "Yo, your name is on it. There's no way
that you
anybody
cannot.
else can do it." And I've tried to take a day off and like let my brother, but my brother wouldn't even read the scripts or the run of show. He would show up late.
Yeah.
He would get up and go to the bathroom mid-interview. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Mid-interview.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was we were interviewing. I think it was in the Manny Perez episode. Oh, it was Oz Rodriguez. So Oz Rodriguez, SNL director, the director of Vampires versus the Bronx. Actually, he was filming Vampires versus the Bronx when he did our show.
Oh wow! And he walked out on the pee.
And Benny just got up and just like went to the bathroom during that. I was like, man.
Is he aware of it, or he's just like, I don't see it. They wrote that. I have to use the bathroom.
My brother does not give a fuck. He just he is Benny. Like that's all he knows. Like I'm the star.
Yeah.
He doesn't think like I'm a star. It's just that's just how he is. That's his personality.
That's funny.
Oh my god.
What did that bring out of you now? Like being on the mic, was there any lessons that you learned about yourself? Like, being behind, but now being the face.
Yeah.
I've watched other podcasts. I've watched, what's the name? David Letterman. He had a show on Netflix. I just try to see how people do it, and then I developed my own style.
Yeah.
And then what helped was Paul left the show, and to replace Paul, I brought in Craze, who I've known over 30 years.
Okay.
And like if me, Rick, and you and Craze were just hanging out, you would be like, "Yo, these two guys are hilarious."
Okay.
So not only do I have Justin who thinks like me, and now I got him next to me. He sets me up. Like he puts up jokes.
Oh, nice.
We have our own chemistry.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Then I was getting haggled, like, why you don't have a woman on the show? And I was like, not that. Like my co-host is my brother, who I've literally known all my life, and then the other one is
your friend.
So it took a while for us to. I think season 5, last year, January or February.
Because she was new. She
was on a radio show before, and she was like, she was gonna be a guest on the show.
Oh, okay.
And she was like, "Man, I would love to be part of the podcast. I would like to be one of the hosts." And I was like, I'm looking for someone. And I had conversations with her, and I was like, when I have her on as a guest, I'm gonna see if there's maybe some
chemistry. Yeah.
I'm gonna see, and I try to have fun on the show. I try to make sure. My brother was hilarious on the show. People still to this day, they write hashtag free Benny Banks and stuff like that. Craze is hilarious on the show. Some of the stuff that we pull is funny. So I wanted to see if she had that kind of like sense of humor, if she could hang with us. And she has held her own. So we lucked out. Nice. But now we're gonna have to find another one.
Another host.
Yes.
Leaving.
Oh damn.
That's right, because they're branching off. You need 2 more, no?
Well, Crazy's show starts in the fall. Hers starts in July. Okay. So the Jayla podcast was initially a joke because we have 90 Day Fiance people on the show almost all the time. And I was like, Jayla was like, I want to look for love. I want a Dominican man in my life. And I was like, you want one straight from DR? Like, are you sure that's what you want? She's like, yeah. I was like, so we'll do an active search on the podcast. Do you mind?
I saw the post, but I didn't see it.
And she said, yeah, we could do it. I'm with it. Let's do it. So it was like the first day we did For the Love of Jayla segment. It was her birthday, and she had finalized her divorce the day before.
Wow.
So I was like, she's ready. That's it.
Perfect.
So we've had fun with that segment, and then eventually the idea was to make it its own show. It won't be
Yeah.
her finding love; it will be centered around the word love, because love
Gotcha.
can be love
So
to
many
a family
things. Yeah.
member, love to a
Yeah.
friend, yeah, love to a pet. So
Nice.
That's dope. Well, through your journey with changing careers and going into the podcast, what was one of those times where you felt like, oh my God, this is like there was a challenge that was so hard for you to overcome? And then how did you overcome that?
so we were doing season 4 was called I don't remember because every season we give it like a little
Oh, like a
like
title?
yeah like a title. Like last season was more than a podcast. The year before that
Okay.
was for the culture. I think was season 4 for the culture.
Okay.
And we did an episode called Culture versus Vulture,
Mm.
and a lot of people got really upset at who
Why?
I my because some names were said,
Okay.
prominent people from uptown, and who I felt was not really about the culture, more of a vulture
Culture.
Mm.
in
Mm.
it. And I lost, I think it was 16,000 followers, 1,600 followers
Damn.
Damn.
in like 2 days.
Shit.
Well, that's what happens when you're honest.
Yeah, that's so true.
Um,
When you're speaking your that's normal. And,
No,
and,
you
and
you
then
got to weed out the
yeah,
you can't have an
yeah,
honest opinion about anything these days.
I mean, I was asked, and I didn't want to say,
the
I don't want to
person's name.
say the person's name, right?
Mhm.
It was Tony Peralta, who I
Mhm.
said.
Okay.
I didn't want to say it. You don't know who Tony is?
No.
Probably if I see the face.
Peralta Project.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I got hit
He's
up
like,
by his
yeah.
boys the next day, and they were like,
Mm.
"Yo, why'd you mention Tony's name?" Bro, I was like, "Listen, I was just giving my honest opinion." And guess what? A year and a half later, it came out that he had people working in his store. He was stealing their artwork,
Oh,
using it
damn.
for his.
Mm.
So,
Did you get your 1,600 followers back?
nah, I don't listen. I never followers, likes,
Yeah.
views, none of that stuff drives
Yeah.
me to do what I do.
Yeah. Else
But
either.
look, the way I see it, man. Look, the way I see it, at least you said it on air when someone asked you, right? Rather
Yeah.
than do it behind someone's back.
Yeah.
Like they asked you the question, you answered honestly. That's like you stating, like, "Yo, I respect what Rick does, but I don't like his comedy, or I don't like who he like, what he like, his other stuff. But I respect his grind."
I would
Okay.
never do that.
But I'm just saying, I'm like, okay, like I won't be like, oh, yo, or send my boys or whatever to check you. I'm like, yo, I mean, it is what it is. Like, okay, great.
I honestly feel like I won't say something on air that I won't say in private. Like
Right.
I've had guests say stuff on. I don't edit my podcast, so
Mhm.
I've had guests reach out like, maybe if you could cut this piece out
Okay.
because someone might get offended. I work for this network or whatever, and that's fine. But I would never say something on air that I wouldn't say to a person.
Right.
In
Gotcha.
person. Yeah. But not getting the support from, I wouldn't say my peers, but people that came a little bit before me
Mhm.
was a challenge.
Okay.
Um, Having those same people turn around and then try to shove us down
Yeah.
Mm.
was a struggle. But at the end of the day, if I could go back there, I wouldn't pay mind to any of that stuff. I would
Yeah.
just continue doing what I'm doing, um, putting out the work the ideas. We had so much stuff that we were coming up with, and sometimes we would get distracted. Like, oh man, this person said this or this. I didn't care at that moment in
Yeah.
time.
What keeps you motivated to keep going and creating? I know it's a passion, but deep down, what is the motivation behind all this? What keeps you going and fuel through those tough times?
Um, my son is one. My family is my son and my family. But I guess it's a challenge that I put on myself.
Mm.
Mhm.
Like when I started very early on, I said I'm gonna have John Leguizamo on my show. I haven't had
Mm.
John Leguizamo on my show. I've met him a few times.
Mhm.
I had his sister on the show. I got a
Okay.
good relationship with his sister. I still haven't had John on my show. So that's just like a goal. Like I feel
Yeah.
like
You
goals
want
are
to.
things that are made and you got to make those things happen. So that keeps me motivated. We got to 100 episodes. The next goal is 200 episodes, the documentary, and then turning into a network.
Mm.
We're gonna start with Jayla's show first, then we'll do Crazy Show, and then there's like
Okay.
two other podcasts working up behind it. So those are the goals.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And at the end game, to be producing films. I did write a film.
Nice.
Justin has not looked. Justin's my partner when it comes
Yeah.
to like films and shows. We haven't looked at that yet. We still want to finish the documentary, and still want to continue to push out this work. But I feel like now I'm at a point where the Rick A Show has 100 shows under the belt. We could
Mm-hmm.
do that. I could do that in my sleep. What's
Mm-hmm.
what's gonna challenge me now? So
Nice.
that's what keeps me motivated.
That's great. So, Rick, we got to know a lot about you and your journey, and we have another segment, and it's called Rapid Fire. And it's basically whatever comes to the top of your head.
Hmm.
Um, so the first question is, what has been your biggest disappointment?
Oh. Uh, I don't have one. I'm gonna say I don't have one. I've
Okay.
had I've had frustrations, but I don't have a disappointment.
Okay.
What's a first? Okay, that's
Oh,
fine.
what's has been your
Yeah,
biggest
frustration.
frustration?
One word.
Maybe not getting the stream numbers early on that I wanted. You know,
Okay.
I was so focused. This generation, instant
Mhm.
gratification.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the power of not giving a fuck until I started not giving a fuck
Yeah.
and just doing what I
It's
want
so
to do, and
powerful.
then it eventually comes back to you. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
What single thing would improve the quality of your life? Money's not an option here.
a single thing with time, more time.
Mm.
Mm,
That's a good one.
Um,
yeah.
Out of all the
That's
people that we heard, that's something
that's a good
I
one.
was surprised to hear. That's a good one.
What do you consider your greatest achievement?
my son.
Nice. What is the most important lesson life has taught you?
You could learn something from. You learn something new every day, and from where you learn it is from where you least expect it. So you can learn something from a 2-year-old
Yep.
to a peer of yours, a sibling of yours. Just always keep an open mind.